Yeah. Yeah. I should be there. It's not responding to me. I don't know, I'm pretty like. Sit back for now. Wow, I feel so short.
You're sharing.
I mean, all right.
Pretty tight on.
It is not. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the structural board. The meeting is held on October 16th, 2024, and the time is 9:05. We will now establish a quorum. So, can you please conduct a roll call? Yes, good morning. Board Member Anderson. Here. Board Member Finley.
Here.
Board Member Mendenhall.
Here.
Board Member Paxson.
Here.
And Board Member Tingley. With the quorum established, yes, we will move on to our next agenda item. Agenda item number 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you will all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation.
I think. At this point in time, we're taking agenda item number 14 out of order. Conduct the annual election of board president and vice president before the petition hearings. I will now turn you over to our legal counsel, Sabina Knight.
Good morning. Thank you so much for taking this out of order, especially since we have a illustrious ALJ here present. And I promise it won't take very long. Real quick, I'll go over the process. We're going to have nominations first for vice president. You can always nominate yourself. But if someone else nominates you, I will be asking, will you accept that nomination? Because we're not going to force you to do work you don't want to do, right? That would be a bad thing. And then we'll check to see if we have multiple nominations, and then we'll do, if we have multiple nominations, usually I ask if there's any kind of statement anybody wants to say, and then I'll take the vote, and we'll make sure we have a second, and we'll go for public comment. We'll come back and we'll do the vote and the nominations for each candidate. If there's multiple, if there's not, usually there isn't. It's not a big deal. So what I'll do is open up to our online. We have one member online right now, and our members here. If there are any nominations for vice president.
Yes, this is Kyle, board member Finley, and I would like to nominate myself as vice president.
Thank you. I don't have to ask if you will be doing the work. I will accept the nomination since it's a self-nomination. I need a second or.
A second.
So I have a motion and a second for Kyle for vice president. Do I have a second? Any further nominations for vice president?
I'll second that motion. Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying
Other nominations. Third additional. You got third, you're fourth. Any additional nominations? Okay. Public comment.
Thank you. This is the moderator. I need to first ask, are there any public members in the room, present in the room?
I do not see any public comment.
Okay, thank you so much. Then I will open up the Q&A panel. If any member of the public would like to make a comment, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We will give you a moment. All right, this is the moderator. I see no request for comment at this time. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much. So I have a motion and a second for Kyle for vice president, and he has obviously agreed to do the work. The good news is, excuse me, he is also going to be back in person next meeting. So I'm going to have a roll call vote. I'll have Sophia go ahead and do that roll call vote for Kyle for vice president.
Board Member Anderson. Yes. Board Member Finley.
Yes.
Board Member Mendenhall. Board Member Paxson.
Yes.
And Board Member Tingan.
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. Motion carries. So our last officer position will be president, and the same rules are going to apply to that. We'll take nominations, and if there are multiples, we'll probably have a statement. We'll go out for public comment and then we'll come back for our vote. So now I will take nominations for president.
I nominate Yesenia Anderson for president.
So I have a nomination. Yesenia, would you accept that position?
Yes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, Board Member Finley here seconds it. I was going to nominate as well.
You would like to third it. Okay. So I have a motion and a second for Yesenia. Do I have any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate myself.
Okay, so I have a motion for Mr. Tegan, for president. Do I have obviously it's a self-nomination, so you would do the work. I don't have to ask if you're going to accept that. Do I have a second? So without a second, the motion's not going to continue, but I'll give everybody one more moment, just in case. Okay, so we don't have a second. So we're gonna go ahead with public comment.
I would like to have a few words, if I can.
Right, absolutely, before we go out for public comment. Absolutely.
It's John Tingan, and I hold an ACE, a PCQI, a VSAP, a HACCP. I'm CalOSHA certified. I own ICX Commodity Feed Company, manage Pest Solutions, an agricultural company, and currently serve as vice president and qualifying manager for auto exterminating, a structural pest control company. Mr. Tingan is a highly regarded expert witness vetted by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and the U.S. Department of Justice, with over 25 years of experience in the structural and agricultural pest control industries. For more than 15 years, he has served on the state's disciplinary review committee for the purpose of reviewing citation appeals from the industry. Mr. Tingan holds 12 of the 13 agricultural licenses issued by the California Department of Pesticide Regulation, reflecting his broad expertise in agricultural practices. He is fully licensed in structural pest control in California, holds a fumigation and general pest operator's license for nearly 25 years, and over a decade maintains additional fumigation and pest control licenses over 6 states. His credentials also extend over a decade to Hawaii, where he holds a restricted use pesticide dealer's license. As an associate entomologist, accredited by the Entomology Society of America over 10 years, Mr. Tingan is recognized for his specialized knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the rule is don't get too close.
Gotcha. Oh, once again, my name's John Tingan, and I'll pick up where I left off. His multiple certifications in food safety underscores expertise in safeguarding the food and commodity industries. further solidifying his standing as an industry authority. In addition to his professional credentials, Mr. Tangen has been a dedicated member of the Pesticide Applicator Professional Association, PAPA, for over 20 years, and as a member of the National Pest Management Association. Beyond his contributions to the pest control industry, he is the founder of the Eye Care Extra Project, which provides financial assistance for essential food and medical support to sponsored families in Burma, Myanmar, impacted by civil unrest. Mr. Tangen's dedication to service extends beyond his professional endeavors. He is an ordained minister and serves as an executive advisor to Grammy-nominated, multi-award-winning singer and songwriter and medicine woman Renata Dorn, and was appointed by the governor of California to a 3-year term as an industry representative, recognizing his significant contributions to the industry. What I wanted to share today is, as an industry member, it really takes a lot of experience to get on the board. To have an operator's license, you need a minimum of 2 years to 4 years, and it's preferred to have more than one branch. I hold a branch 1 and 2, and I've held it for over 25 years. By the board standards, 1 year is equal to 1,600 hours. That's over 40,000 hours of industry experience at that rate. In reality, it's probably closer to 60. Unfortunately, I don't have the vote or the support to be president, but I know I can serve and make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. So we have a motion and a second. Any public comment out there, moderator? There's none in the.
Thank you so much. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We'll give you a moment. All right, this is a moderator. I see no request for comment at this time. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. And so that takes us to our vote. Sophia, can you please call the roll call? Board Member Anderson?
Yes.
Board Member Finley?
Yes.
Board Member.
Yes.
Board Member Paxson?
Yes.
And Board Member Tengen?
I'd like to vote for myself.
We'll take that as an abstention.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to run that election. I appreciate it. And I'll now turn it back over to your president.
Yeah, before we move to our next agenda item, I do want to recognize John. Thank you so much for your service, and you were incredibly valuable member of our board. I know we worked a lot for you. We'll continue to serve as a member of our communities as well, so we'll continue to leverage that expertise, as well as look at opportunities for you to continue to serve in a different capacity as well. So just want to let you know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll continue down our agenda, but we're going to take one more agenda item out of order. So at this point in time, the purpose of petition hearings. So the purpose of these hearings are for the board to consider these petitions for reinstatement. Before turning it over to our administrative law judge, I did want to say that we'll take agenda item number 4 first, and then moving on to agenda item number 3. So with that said, I'll turn it over to our administrative law judge to begin the hearings.
All right, thank you, President Anderson. Do we have Mr. Carrillo in? Petitioner Carrillo, Jose Carrillo? If not, we may skip that matter altogether and go straight to Mr. Kelsey's matter. That's fine, Ms. Knight, if you want to check. Separately, Ms. Knight, if Mr. Creo does not appear, the board is still empowered to rule on the petition. And so I'll leave it up to your advice about how you'd like to advise the board about proceeding in that regard.
You go ahead, I'll double check to make sure he's.
I do want to, yeah, why don't we double check first, because I'll have some instructions that would be useful for him to hear if he is present. So we'll just wait a moment. Thank you. Kelsey, let me just check with you. Have you had an adequate opportunity to review those documents? Would there be any additions? Okay, all right, then just stand by. We may have you join us at council table shortly.
There's no, it's not signed in.
Okay.
I'm not this to take, so they keep an eye out for him. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. I think that was, yeah.
All right, Mr. Kelsey, I'll have you come join us at the council table here. And just so the folks in the room are aware, plan at this point is to move forward with Mr. Kelsey's petition to see if Mr. Carrillo joins us. And then, thank you, we'll decide how to proceed in his absence if he does not arrive. And then you've given me 2 sets.
Yeah, you gave me 2. You told me to look at one, and see if, the other matched, and if
Got
there's
it.
more, in one, then let you know, but everything looks.
Okay, very good. So let me just briefly explain the hearing process. Mr. Bernard, we're not on the record yet. The way this hearing will go is that we'll go on the record. I'll identify myself and I'll ask for the board members to simply confirm their presence to establish a quorum on the record for your case.
Okay.
At that point, the parties introduce themselves, and then I will invite Ms. Lazark to present a brief overview of the license and disciplinary history and to present the petition and supporting documents.
Okay.
You will have the right to object if you think there is something about those documents that the board should not consider. But assuming that it's the documents that you submitted, then there may be no objection. After that, and after she's presented a brief overview of the license and disciplinary history, then I'll give you a chance to present additional evidence if you'd like.
Okay.
You can testify, you can call other witnesses if you have other people that you think the board should hear from, and you can present additional documents if you had any. Let me just confirm, do you have any additional documents that are not, that you've already submitted?
Yes, I do.
Okay, are those documents that you would like the board to consider when deciding your case?
Yes.
Have you brought copies of those?
No. I just have, one copy actually, so would I be able to make copies and bring them back before the close of today, or
No.
no?
Unfortunately, there's just not adequate time. As soon as the petitions end, the board then convenes to a closed session to discuss the evidence.
Also, so I can just orally explain the documents. It's not much, you know, so it's, I think they'll understand.
Okay. I'll leave that to your judgment. I will address it on the record as well.
Okay.
But I don't want to deprive you of the chance to submit evidence.
Okay.
And we need to make sure that if you're submitting evidence, that each board member can review it and adequately
So I
decide
can,
whether to question you about it.
okay, so I can at least like say, hey, here's this document here. Can the board member take a look at it real quick just to see what it is? Because it's their document. I pulled it off of the website, so they would, if they wanted to, they could always go to their website and look at the document. It's delivered from, you know.
Yeah, they cannot do that. The board can only consider evidence that's presented at this hearing when deciding your case.
I
So
see,
the board
I see.
cannot go independently do research, or they can use their own knowledge of, for example, their own policies and procedures.
Okay.
They can't go independently look things up, and there would not be adequate time for that, considering that we convene to close session right after the petitions end.
Okay.
Let me ask this: have you shown these documents to Ms. Lazark?
These documents, no.
Okay, can you speak to her briefly?
Yeah. Decision in order. Girls terminated 12 consumer on 89th Avenue had hired him to do inspection to compare to the report that was used to discipline basically. And when I was just preparing for the case and getting ready, I noticed when I looked up his license that he got disciplined. So this is not really the hearing for that, but as far as asking for, you know, a reduction in the penalty, I think that would be, you know, grounds to just say, hey, I'm not trying to say that I didn't do anything wrong, but maybe the violations weren't as severe because Don Pedro's reports are not accurate and he got his license disciplined for not, you know, telling the truth about, you know, work being done and he hadn't even started to work yet. And he's, you know, collecting thousands of dollars, you know, certifying properties free and clear of infestation, but he hasn't even started the job. So I'm just asking for just a reduction, just based on that.
None of the documents are pertaining to your case before the board, right? Mr.
Well, it says in there that the board had said that they found that he was in the business of other properties doing the same thing.
But let me just interrupt for a minute. I want to make sure that we're not polluting any board members thinking of having your extended explanation of what the documents are. So, Ms. Love, you've had a chance to review the documents? All right, can I see them?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, just by way of summary, it looks like a decision order, stipulated settlement and disciplinary order, and underlying accusation against a different board licensee. And I think what I overheard you telling Ms. Lazark is that you documents are useful in some way to the board in your case, because this licensee has something to do with the underlying discipline in your case.
Yes.
And you'd like to suggest that subsequent discipline of this licensee might in some way affect the board's decision about that licensee's opinions regarding your work. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hand this back to you.
Okay.
When we're on the record and you have the opportunity to present evidence, I'll have you, if you would like, you can offer that. I'll have Ms. Lazark.
Okay.
I'll give her a chance to object if she would like, and I'll rule on that objection.
Okay.
If I sustain the objection, that means I agree with it. I don't know if she will object, and if so, I don't know on what grounds. But if she objects, then, and I sustain the objection or objections, it means that I agree with her and I'm excluding the document.
Okay.
If alternatively, she doesn't object, or she objects but I disagree with her, then I'll overrule the objection. I'll allow the evidence into the record, and we can take that copy and collectively the board can review it.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
So as I was saying, You can testify on your own behalf, you can call additional witnesses, and you can present those additional documents.
Okay.
After you've testified, I'll give first Ms. Lazark, followed by each board member, a chance to ask you any questions they might have.
Okay.
When you're being threatened, what I need from you is two things. Number one, please wait patiently and silently while either Ms. Lazark or the board member poses their full question before you begin your answer. That will help to avoid two people speaking at once, which is hard for a court reporter.
Okay.
But also it will help the board members to understand the full question and therefore understand the full answer. But the answer is the evidence, not the question. So they need to hear the full answer and they need to understand it. And for that, they need to hear the full question. So that's the first thing. Just wait and let them ask the full question.
Okay.
Secondly, after you've been asked the question, please pause for a moment to think about what you've been asked, answer just that question, and then wait for a new question.
Okay.
But people will sometimes use a question as an opportunity to launch into additional information, and it's not the best way to orderly present evidence. So
Sure.
just wait and see what's been asked, answer just that, and then wait for a new question. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
After all the evidence is presented, I'll give the parties a chance to make any brief closing remarks they would like to make. Ms. Lazark may tell you that she's not here in an adversarial capacity. Her job is simply to ensure that the board has adequate information with which to make a decision. She may or may not have any sort of closing remarks based on that role. But whether she makes a closing remark or not, you'll have the chance to make any sort of closing argument if you'd like to do that.
Sure.
After that is concluded and no one has any more questions, you've closed, then the hearing will conclude.
Mhm.
The board will convene into closed session or we might hear the other petitioner. But after all petitions are done, the board will convene in closed session. So you will not get your decision today. Instead, the board will deliberate and you'll get your decision at some time thereafter.
Okay.
Any questions about those procedures?
So there's no set time on how long it'll take the board to come with a decision, basically.
The statute is that the board has 100 days.
Oh,
I doubt it will take all that long.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
that is what the statute provides.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions about the procedures?
No.
All right. And then this is just a statement for anyone in the room who'll be talking today, you, Mr. Kelsey, but also Ms. Lazark and any board member and myself. We do have a court reporter here whose job, once we go on the record, will be to accurately transcribe everything that everyone says.
Mhm.
That, of all of our jobs, is the hardest today. So we need to do some things to try to ease the burden on him to the extent that we can. Those things are as follows. Number one, please speak loudly enough, slowly enough, and one at a time enough that he can clearly make out who is speaking and what they're saying. Number two, please ensure that you use words as opposed to gestures or non-word sounds. If you were to nod your head or shrug your shoulders, the board members would see you, they would likely know what you meant, but he would not hear it, so he would not type it. So too for non-word sounds. Uh-huh and when typed out, are too similar. No one reading that will know what was actually said or meant.
Right.
So we need yes, no, I don't know, those sort of things. Finally, it may happen from time to time that Mr. Barnard needs to interrupt because he didn't clearly hear a question or didn't clearly hear an answer. If he asks you to repeat something, if he needs to interrupt to ask you to repeat, he means the word repeat. He does not mean explain, clarify, or provide additional detail about. He's not questioning you as an attorney. He's not asking you to provide any sort of additional detail. He wants you to say the exact same word or phrase that you just used, but louder and slower. Make sense?
Yes.
Very good. Compliance with Rule 2 right away. Good. Everyone else makes sense? All right. People are not good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. We have to get comfortable using our voices. Very good. Thank you. All right. Ms. Lazark, anything you feel we need to address before we go on the record?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kelsey, anything that you have questions about before we go on the record?
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay. If you do have questions, I invite you to ask them as they arise for you. I cannot give legal advice, but I can certainly help guide you through the process.
Okay. Well, it's it is a question.
Okay.
I was just reviewing everything, just getting ready last night, and I caught some of the evidence. The administrative law judge from a previous reinstatement hearing over 10 years ago had mentioned a property that I don't even recognize. So that's my only question that I was kind of going to just bring up, like on the record, as far as, going through this, because I don't know anything about it. And I was trying to find out, was this a property that was a part of the probation, like follow-up, like where the specialist goes out and he's checking different properties? Because this was a long time ago. So I'm just trying to recall this property, because she didn't give an address. She just mentioned the street. And I'm just scared. I'm like, oh my God, what's that about?
Okay. I'm unable to answer the question.
Okay.
What that is about.
Okay.
However, if you'd like to make that observation once we're on the record during your
Yeah.
testimony,
Okay.
you can certainly do that.
Okay.
The board members can ask questions about that
Okay.
if they have any, but you can make
Okay.
that observation during
Okay.
your testimony.
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Any other
Okay.
questions?
No, that's it. That's it.
All right. Mr. Barnard, are you ready to go on the record? All right. We are on the record in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Lance Eugene Kelsey. This matter is being heard before the Structural Pest Control Board. This case number is 2005-24. My name is Sean Gavin. I am an administrative law judge from the Office of Administrative Hearings who has been assigned to preside over this case. The Office of Administrative Hearings, or OAH, case number is 2024-090-635, and I'd like to take the appearances of the parties, starting with counsel.
Deputy Attorney General Adriana Lazark, appearing on behalf of the people of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522. I am not here in an adversarial capacity. I'm here to assist the board with fact-finding.
Thank you, Ms. Lazar. And we're also joined by the petitioner, Mr. Kelsey, who is appearing without the assistance of an attorney. Is that right, sir?
Yes, correct.
All right, very good. In addition to that, let me just briefly do a roll call of the board members who are present so we can establish a quorum. When I say your name, simply say here or present or some similar thing. President Anderson.
Here.
Vice President Finley.
Here.
Mr. Mendenhall.
Here.
Mr. Paxson.
Here.
And Mr. Tengen.
Here.
Thank you. Those members establish a quorum. Before we went on the record, I explained the hearing procedures that will follow. I will briefly summarize that explanation now so your record is complete. In a moment, I'll give Ms. Lazark a chance to present the petition packet and supporting documents, followed by a brief explanation of the license and disciplinary history. After that, you'll have the right to present additional evidence. You can testify, you can call additional witnesses if you'd like, and you can present additional documents. I understand you have a small packet of some additional documents you'd like the board to consider.
Yes.
After you have presented your testimony, I will give Ms. Lazark and then the board members a chance to ask you any questions they might have. After you've presented all of your testimony and evidence, I'll give the parties a chance to briefly summarize what they think the board should do about the evidence. We call that closing argument.
Okay.
After that, we'll end the hearing and convene to closed session. Do you have any questions about the procedures?
No.
If you do have any questions as we move forward, I will certainly do my best to answer those. I cannot give you legal advice, but I can help guide you through the process. All right?
Okay.
All right. Ms. Lazark, anything to address before I turn it over to you?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then if you'd like to present, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've provided the board and also the OAH with a copy of the board's exhibits index. It's one exhibit with a total of 601 pages. There are 12 subsections to this exhibit, and I'll go in order. The first subsection are the jurisdictional documents, and these are bait stamp, and these are the AGO bait stamps 1 through 4. It includes the board letter confirming the date and time of today's petition hearing and petitioner's confirmation. The next subsection is the petition and related documents pertaining to today's petition that is being heard before the board. These documents are included in AGO bait stamp pages 5 through 91. The next subsection is the decision and order pertaining to case number 2005-24, page numbers 93 through 185. The fourth subsection is the decision and order in case number 2004-22, pages 187 through 244. The fifth subsection is the cost recovery pertaining to both cases, case number 2004-22 and 2004-24. These documents are found in page numbers 246 to 247. The next subsection is subsection 6, and these are the certified license history for respondents, 4 different type of licenses, and also his license before the State of Nevada Department of Agriculture. These documents are found in pages 249 through 259. The next subsection is subsection 7, and these are the certified Superior Court documents pertaining to a case number SA 090465 before the Superior Court of California County of Los Angeles. And these documents are found in pages 262 through 341. The next subsection is subsection 8. These are the documents submitted by the petitioner to the OAH on June 3rd, 2021 and June 9th, 2021, which were also included as part of his petition packet. And these documents are found on pages 343 through 380. The next subsection is subsection 9. This is petitioner's prior petition for reinstatement, which was submitted to the board in 2011. The documents pertaining to that petition are found in pages 382 through 459. The next subsection is the 10th subsection, and this is the writ of mandamus and Superior Court of, or before the Superior Court, case number BS 135924. These documents are found in pages 462 through 535. The next subsection is subsection 11, and this is a transcript in the matter of the petition that was discussed in subsection 10. These documents are found on pages 537 through 596. And lastly, the last subsection is the tentative decision denying the writ of mandamus, and that's found on page 598.
You're offering all of those documents as one exhibit. Is that right, Ms. Lazar?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Kelsey, is there any reason you believe the board should not consider those documents that Ms. Lazar described when they decide this case?
Basically, that's the entire book here, right?
Yes, sir.
If I was to object, I would only object to just the fact that there's a property I just don't recognize in here that I was mentioning before we got on the record. I mean, that's, because this type of hearing, it's just for, describing rehabilitation. So it's not really to fight the board or anything like that. But I was just concerned about that from the first reinstatement hearing. I was looking at the minutes about 3 o'clock this morning because I couldn't sleep. And I noticed the judge was mentioning a subject property, but she didn't give the block number address. She just gave a street name. And I don't remember that being a property as far as the probation properties, like follow-ups that they were doing when they were checking while I was on probation. And I don't recall that being a property that a consumer had complained on where the board came after me and took action. And that was mentioned by the judge, and she stated that the consumer's agent, the real estate agent, Just That Easy Financial, had, I guess complained about this property as well, but I don't have any information, or I never got a complaint to my knowledge from the board. And the license, I've been concerned about getting some conflictive license information from the board and them even putting it on the website, and that should be a part of this packet too. I wanted to object to that because I don't know really what's going on. I feel like that's the board just trying to tell me that, someone's doing something under me without my permission, and that's what I'm offering them restitution for. But at the same time, I want to make sure I protect myself and, protect the opportunity to have the board consider reinstating my license. So that's all I would basically object to.
Okay. I understand you have 2 grounds for objection. One is that you identified a partial property address that was unfamiliar to you.
Yes.
In a previous ALJ's order or
Yes.
proposed decision.
Yes.
The second ground for objection, though, can you repeat that? Because I didn't follow the basis of it.
So on the board's website, you know how if you want to look up a licensee's information to see if they're licensed, I clicked on it, typed in my name or license number, applicator license 21276. It comes up with a conflicting address where it shows my address is 460 and a half Soretta Street. And it says it's in San Diego, California, in San Diego County, but it's in Kernville, California, and that's Kern County. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, this is the board's way of telling me, something's wrong. And I'm trying to, I'm running around with the chicken like with chicken with its head cut off, trying to figure out what are they trying to tell me.
Okay.
So that's another objection I would have, only because I'm just trying to demonstrate that I'm rehabilitated, and anything I don't know of, I want to know about it so I can work on taking care of whatever needs to be taken care of to demonstrate and prove to the board that I'm rehabilitated. No stone goes left unturned with me if there's a complaint or an issue, basically.
All right. All right. So the second ground for objection is that you believe there's some inconsistency with your address of record.
Yes.
Board.
Yes.
All right. The legal procedures that I need to follow require that I overrule those objections.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that you cannot raise those points during your testimony.
Oh, okay.
What it means is that those points are not reasons for which the board can decline to review the evidence.
Okay.
So in other words, it doesn't make the evidence inadmissible. And as a result, I have to overrule the objections.
Okay.
Exhibit 1 will be admitted in its entirety.
Okay.
And as I said, you are certainly welcome to raise those points as you see fit during your testimony.
Okay, sure.
I will note to you that comments made during this portion of the hearing, such as an objection, are not evidence. They're not sworn testimony. It's not subject to cross-examination. So if you'd like the board to consider from an evidentiary standpoint the points you just made, you'll need to make the decision to then say that during your testimony as well.
Okay.
I'm not telling you what you should or should not
Sure.
include in your testimony.
Sure.
Just advising you of the limits
Sure.
at this point.
Okay.
So the objections are overruled. Exhibit 1 is admitted. Before we move on, there are a couple words that you said I need you to spell.
Mm-hmm.
One was the name of the financial entity, the agent, and I think you said trust that.
Just that easy financial.
Okay. You don't need to tell me what it is. It was just that easy, those words?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other was Soretta Street. Can you spell that, please?
S like Sam, I like independent, R like red, R like red, E like Eric, T like Tom, T like Tom, A like apple.
Thank you. And then the final was Kernville,
Yes.
Kernville.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Ms. Lazark, if you'd like to present a brief overview of the license and disciplinary history, you may do so whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will try to keep it brief. Petitioner has been licensed in some capacity for the last 34 years with the board. He has held 4 different types of licenses, including an operator's license, number OPR 10063 in branch 3, which was revoked in 2006. A field representative license, number FR 27583 in branch 3, which was canceled in 1999. Company registration certificate, PR 1399 in branch 3, which was revoked in 2006. And an applicator's license, RA 21276 in branch 2, which was revoked also in 2006. On August 24th, 2023, Mr. Kelsey, petitioner, has filed a petition for reinstatement of his revoked license pertaining to his operator's license number 10063 in branch 3. I'm going to give a brief overview of that license only, since the petition pertains only to that license, but the remaining license certification for the other 3 licenses can be found on pages 251 through 259. On July 27th, 1999, the board issued petitioner's operator's license number in branch 3 to respondent as an employee of Kelsey's Termite Company, Inc., That's Kelsey's with an apostrophe. On January 6, 2004, accusation number 2004-22 was filed against petitioner's operator's license. On February 14th, 2005, a second accusation, number 2005-24, was filed against respondent's operator's license. On May 16th, 2005, a decision and order was rendered in accusation number 2004-22, effectively revoking respondent's operator's license. However, the revocation was stayed and probation, and the license was placed on probation for a period of 3 years. On July 15th, 2005, a default decision and order was rendered in accusation number 2005-24, which was subsequently vacated 10 days later on July 25th, 2005. On July 17th, 2006, a first amended accusation and petition to revoke probation in case number 2005-24 was filed against petitioner's operator's license. November 24th, 2006, after your hearing on the first amended accusation and the petition to revoke his license, petitioner's operator's license was revoked outright. June 24th, 2011, petitioner, filed a petition for reinstatement, which was revoked on January 7th, 2012. February 27th, 2012, petitioner filed a writ of mandamus in Los Angeles Superior Court, which was ultimately denied because petitioner failed to establish abuse of discretion. Now, I want to briefly talk about the two accusations that were filed against petitioner's operator's license. An accusation number 2004-25 was filed against petitioner alleging misconduct with respect to a property in Oakland, California. The decision and order, which was rendered on May 16th, 2005, found that petitioner's inspection of the Oakland property violated multiple codes and regulations pertaining to pest control, to his pest control inspection. However, more problematic than that was that in January of 2003, petitioner filed a mechanic's lien on the Oakland property, and that in filing that lien, he made multiple misrepresentations and false statements. As a result, petitioner's operator's license was placed on probation for 3 years. The second accusation that was filed against petitioner's operator's license is number 2005-24, which was filed on July 15th, 2005. On January 17th, 2006, a first amended accusation and a petition to revoke was filed in that case, and the matter was heard by the OAH, and a proposed decision was issued in June of 2006. As with the the first accusation that was filed against petitioner, this accusation also alleged violations of multiple code and regulation sections pertaining to petitioner's inspection and pest control work on 2 properties in Los Angeles County. The 2 properties were the McClug Drive property, MCCLUG, and the Greenleaf Street property, Greenleaf, one word. With respect to the Greenleaf property, there were findings that petitioner failed to accurately inspect and to make proper pest control findings. However, with respect to the McClug property, the allegations were that petitioner filed a fraudulent mechanic's lien on the property for work that he did not perform and was not hired to perform. After hearing on the matter, the Office of Administrative Hearings found that petitioner was never hired to inspect or to perform work on the McClug property, that he did not contract for services at that property, that petitioner's inspection report for the property was a false document, and that the mechanic's lien that the petitioner filed with the LA County Recorder's Office on March 25th, 2004, was false and an abuse of the lien process. So that concludes petitioner's license discipline with the board. Subsequently, on May 28th, 2015, a felony complaint was filed against petitioner in LA County Superior Court that alleged that petitioner filed false and forged mechanics lien that were to be registered with the county recorder's office on October 2nd, 2013, February 28th, 2014, and June 25th, 2014. The complaint was subsequently amended to add a fourth cause of action as to a mechanics lien that was allegedly falsely filed on October 18th, 2018 by the petitioner. In 2022, petitioner pled no contest to violating Penal Code Section 459, misdemeanor burglary. The conviction was ultimately expunged in September of 2022. Lastly, as a condition precedent to reinstatement, should the board choose to reinstate petitioner's license, petitioner shall pay the board a total of $22,647.59 for the costs associated with the accusations that I've described previously. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lazard. Mr. Kelsey, that takes us now to you. You can testify, you can call other witnesses, can present additional documents. If you'd like to testify, tell me, and I will have you raise your right hand so I can swear you in.
Yes.
Okay, I see you raising your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can put your hand down if you'd like. Please keep in mind as you testify that the board does have the petition and supporting documents that Ms. Lazark described and has had the opportunity to review them. So you do not need to go through every page. However, if you'd like to highlight any important parts, you may do so. If you'd like to summarize anything you think the board should know, you may do so. This is your opportunity to explain in your own words why the board should grant your petition. In addition, I understand you have some additional documents you'd like the board to consider.
Yeah.
You can also introduce those and discuss what those are.
Yes.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to ask you guys about if I have an objection. I didn't want to interrupt her. When you object, like if she says something and you want to object, you let her finish, right? Like finish her whole speech, or do you say objection right there, then and there, like when you see that there's an objection?
Well, it may not matter considering that she's already finished.
Okay.
However, if there was something that Ms. Lazark said with which you disagree, you can certainly talk about that now and discuss what she said that you think was wrong and tell the board what you think the true fact is.
Okay. So basically, she referenced the property in Los Angeles that I was disciplined on. It's McClung, but she said McClug, and she left, I believe, the letter N out. N is in Nancy in the word McClung, the street. And the case number for the other case, 2004-22, which is here in the evidence book, she made a mistake and said it was case number 2004-25. Now, this is where I get scared because it's so much has happened. I'm just scared that is that the board telling me, you know, that, hey, there's other business going on you don't know about, because I was real young doing this. So it's kind of like, oh my God, I didn't catch this, or, I don't take offense to it or anything. I just feel like this is an industry practice as far as if you think you're an administrator, well, you need to be able to, be on point as far as the administrative language, or swag, what I like to call it, because I didn't know anything about this type of, I believe it's like a code of conduct as far as administration. If you're a manager or a business owner, I feel like there's a different type of code of conduct and language conduct that you have to follow and catch. And if you don't catch it, well, you better catch it, because I feel like this is the board's way of, training me and making me a better person at administration, because I feel this is a big part of me demonstrating rehabilitation, because I couldn't see anything that I did wrong in my younger days, because all I hear is there's a complaint. Oh God, okay, let me take care of that. What's the complaint? Oh, okay, I took care of that.
Now I'm waiting for my credit, and oh no, I didn't get credit. My license got taken. So, over the years, I would just study the industry and, try to learn, what am I missing? My father passed away. He's the one who, taught me. So it's like, well, what did I miss here? And just over the years, that's kind of what I've been doing, just looking at things very closely and trying to understand, what the board is trying to tell me through what I call that code language or code of conduct practice as far as an administrator. Um, and I noticed the same as far as when I had petitioned for the reinstatement some time ago, over 10 years ago, and the administrative law judge, basically, I was looking at the minutes this morning about 3 a.m, and she referenced a property that wasn't the 89th Street property in Oakland that I was disciplined on, and it wasn't the McClung property. And it didn't appear, to my knowledge, to be one of those properties that the specialist went out on when he was doing his probation check. So I really couldn't go to sleep after that because I'm like going through the case files trying to find that property somewhere in here to figure out, is this what they've been trying to tell me? Because I feel like the board has been trying to tell me all these years through their actions and their paperwork that you may have taken care of, this complaint, but you don't know that the estate of your deceased father, which the business Kelsey's Termite is a part of, they're doing other business. So you're responsible for that. And I think the board didn't grant me reinstatement before because they felt like he doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't even have a clue. He just wants his credit for what he did, but he doesn't understand that he's also responsible for the people behind you. And yeah, back then I couldn't see it, I was okay, I'm responsible, but I didn't know that, there's other stuff going on. And I also feel that they do that, the board does that this way because I was an independent contractor. I didn't form that company. I didn't start it as a corporation or anything like that. It's not my company. I didn't apply for company registration. So I feel like because I'm a third party independent contractor doing jobs under that company, they don't have to tell me straightforward what's going on, what's wrong. I feel like that's their way of letting me know. She'll say, some of the digits of the case number wrong, or they'll reference a property that I don't even know about. And I'm like, oh my God, I should have, when my father passed away, I should have registered my own business and just said, excuse me. I'm sorry.
That's okay, sir. You can feel free to take your time.
He was my teacher. I'm just trying to do better and just be a better responsible person. It's been so long. So basically, 11 days after my father made me the qualifying manager, he passed away. And he said, I just want you guys to see what it takes to do this. And that's what I was trying to do. I wasn't perfect. I understand, there's things that you're supposed to do. And I just been trying to do it and make it right. That's all I've been trying to do. So I don't want to fight the board or, like try to go against them or anything. I just want to make peace and just say, look, I'll pay the fine. I know you guys take payments. I'll make payments, thank you. I'll make payments. I'll try to, not try to, I will. I will take courses that are gonna update me. I have been actually, and it's been fun because this makes me think about my father because he was so busy doing this that he didn't really have time to step out of that as much at the end of the day, other than, yeah, did you do your homework? Did you do this, do that? Okay, good. I'm going to sleep, or pouring a drink. So, that's how he was. He was very quiet. So basically, this makes me think about my father, and this here just kind of, it was like a smack in the face, like, because it's been so long since this discipline was handed down. So basically, I'm just trying to make restitution. And the reason why I bring these things up as far as the case number and the way she pronounces the words, I feel like that's kind of the lesson I'm being taught by the board as far as being an administrator, catching these things, because people do make mistakes. But I feel like sometimes, and I've done it too, we make spelling errors or language errors. But then in this practice of administration, I've seen it. I think that's the way that people sometimes tell you there's been a change in the relationship or the change in the business. And that's what I've learned over the years. Back then, when all this happened, I didn't have a clue about all that. All I knew was there's a complaint, take care of it, give me my credit, see you later, bye. I didn't know anything about too much about corporations and shareholders. And when someone dies, my sister told me, well, when dad died, the business died. No, it didn't. I told her, no, it didn't. I'm still here. But I didn't know that I should have, probably just re-registered for me, because I was basically doing everything. And uh, I could just offer my services to my mother and family members and just say, hey, I have to do it like this now because my father passed away, or, our father passed away. And I'm still here for you, but, we have to follow these rules and structures and everything like that, because right now, whew, it's out of control. My mother never served me any probate papers because her thing was, well, you weren't married to him, so you're not entitled to anything. So over time, the business started, taking that effect, and the way she was doing things, and we weren't really working together like we were supposed to. And all things in the dark come to light, and that's kind of what happened with this business. So I've been trying to rehabilitate myself and learn how things go so I can do better business, basically. I even feel like now I've taken action as far as trying to buy my mother out. She said I could, and then, she switched up and, tried to change her story, and that's all she's been doing all this time. But I basically feel like now the best thing would be to buy her out and my family members from my father's estate, because she hasn't been running it right. And this business is a part of it, and the customer and what's going on. Customers told me basically that, someone was calling them, talking about some money, asking about, some money that was due, and that's not the way we're doing business, but that was just evidence that something's wrong. I've been trying to close some accounts, extended mechanics liens accounts, and I did file some liens, updated liens, and I got handcuffed for it. And basically, I think the county of Los Angeles basically settled with me because I think I demonstrated rehabilitation to them. They were telling me I was facing 5 years in prison for walking on a consumer's property and putting a lien on it, doing all these things. And I'm, trying to explain to them my side of it. And, this is a serious business here. This is chemicals, and they're toxic, and we're talking about clean air and water. And there's an executive order with the president of the United States. They want to, learn about the chemicals like this. And we can't have more than one chemical discharging business, under a similar name. I can't be doing business over here, and my mother can't be, doing something else. We're supposed to be the same. We're supposed to have an integrated pest management system. So That's all I've been doing basically is trying to rehabilitate myself, but rehabilitating my family members. And when someone dies, I guess they feel like, well, hey, I'm not in that position anymore. This key person, Brian Kelsey, passed away. So now I don't have to listen to you. I can do what I want to do. And if, whoever, the government, the board catches up, well, that's you. You're going to, I'm not responsible. So I've been trying to basically come up with a way to just kind of phase them out so I can move forward and so I could pay restitution and be a better qualifying manager, basically. So when I see little things like, case number, or there's a property in here I don't recognize, or, she referenced the street wrong, or I wasn't like that back then. I wouldn't have caught none of that, but because I felt like there were some things wrong with, me not getting proper credit. Well, I went on the investigation like, well, hey, I went out there and we did some stuff, and the state specialist, John Ellinger, said, he didn't have to meet me back over there to confirm that I did what I was supposed to do. I've never heard that from a specialist before. But again, that was, I feel, the board's way of telling me something is wrong. You think that you've done what you were supposed to do, but you don't know about this other business that's going on under you. So I would say thank you to the pest control board for, showing me these things, because my family wasn't gonna, they weren't gonna say anything. Their whole thing is, hey man, we're different now, and we're gonna show you we're different. Someone passed away and we're waiting to get paid, and we'll step in front of you if we have to, and we don't care anything about this stuff. It's whatever. You're the one with the license. We're not. You'll get in trouble. We won't. So now basically I'm just trying to phase them out. Because that's still my family, that's still my mother. And she's not, she's like 74 years old now, and she's set in her ways. She's not gonna change. So, I feel like, well, I'll go ahead and just pay the restitution, buy my mother out, family members, continue on. I have been rehabilitating myself. I worked for Pest Corporation in Las Vegas. As you see, it's in here. The Nevada Department of Agriculture showed that I had a pest control license. It's an operator, or was an operator license in the state of Nevada for 2 years. I practiced successfully. I had no consumer complaints. I had a pest control route in the Henderson area, which is Las Vegas suburb. That was very fun because here, I just did the termite work. I did get an applicator license with Harris Pest Control, but that was supposed to be for termite customers from Kelsey's Termite that wanted pest control work done. And basically the understanding with me and Joe was well, with Joe Harris, was that when a termite customer was requesting pest control, instead of us telling them to go elsewhere, we could say, well, we don't do that here, but I have an applicator license with Harris Pest Control, and we can do that over here. And Joe would get, a percentage because it's his company. He's the operator. He would come out and approve the work, and that was it. But we weren't supposed to be doing any full blown pest control business. But just based on the way the board would give me notice of things, and I would hear conflicting case numbers or wrong addresses or conflicting addresses on the applicator license, like I was mentioning earlier. Well, I feel like that was their way of telling me that Joe and my mother or family members made another business arrangement without telling me. And the board's way of letting me know is putting it on their website. When you look up my applicator license, well, here's the block number 460 half Soretta Street, but it's not Kernville, California, it's San Diego, California. And it's like, wow, okay, Jesus, okay, it's some stuff going on, and I'm not going to win. I can't contest anything with the pest control board. All I can do is offer restitution and say, well, I see that I have to do better. I have to, do better business. If I'm going to be doing business with Joe Harris or anybody as a subcontractor or whatever, I should have gotten a written contract with Joe. So that way, if something like this happens, I can say, hey, sorry. I have a contract with Joe, and this is how we do pest control when we do it. But at the time, I didn't see that coming. I didn't feel it was necessary. I went to high school with Joe. And the person who introduced me to Joe, I grew up with him and went to school with him all the way back to elementary school. So when he brought Joe to me, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, well, this guy's like a brother to me. And, I couldn't see any clue of you should be putting your agreement with Joe in writing. So that, if something goes wrong, you can tell the board, hey, this is how we do pest control, you know? So yeah, that was a lesson. I would always consider, definitely, if I do business with somebody, ask for references from their customers, ask for maybe even their license history from the board, any disciplinary actions, any complaints, did you resolve them? Background check them, check their credit, criminal, all that, because I didn't see any of that necessary at the time. Because now that I look back at it, I think the applicator license really hurted me. Excuse me, instead of helping me, because I really just wanted to use it to comply with the board. If I'm doing a branch 3 termite job and I run into, some pests while I'm doing some work, I can tell the customer, yeah, well, we don't do pest control, but I have a license where, I partner with Harris Pest Control, and we can move that portion of the business there if you want to do that type of business and have this taken care of. I have a written contract with him, but yeah, I think my family took advantage of that. And that's where a lot of problems are rooted from, is that applicator license. And I also feel like I should have waited or told Joe that, hey, man, I think I need an operator license in branch 2 as well. So if something doesn't go right, well, I have a branch 2 operator license. I have the administrative authority to make things right. The applicator license is a beginner license, and I think my family and I think Joe took advantage of that. And when I would do a pest or a termite application, well, I think my family was doing another application on top of mine, and that's where the business started going wrong and it started going down. And their whole thing is money. Someone died, the key person died. So now Joe, family members that don't have a license, and including my mother, they're after money. They're swindling me, and okay, he'll go out and go do that termite job, and he'll reach in his pocket and buy the labor and material, but he just doesn't know that. We're calling the escrow company, or we're going to the consumer, and like that consumer told me, and we're making arrangements to collect, and I'm waiting to get paid, and now I'm filing a mechanics lien, and now it looks like, what is this guy doing? And now I'm in handcuffs, and I'm wondering, well, why am I in handcuffs? I'm just trying to collect my money. But yeah, when somebody dies, you can find out who your family members really are. But now I feel I'm rehabilitated and I'm older now, and I see, how you're supposed to, do better business. And, you need written agreements, and you need to background check people that you do business with. And you need to basically keep up with the trade. My experience, I've still been studying. I did take some courses with it's Pest Ed. It's been about a year or so. I took some pest control courses. I was going to take the branch 3, but I did get the laws in, and I got like pesticide safety, chemical safety, which is universal between both branches. But there was a little problem with Pest Ed. I think the same thing, we were having an identity issue. They said that I paid with a credit and debit card. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I only paid with one card, and I asked for a refund. We gave you your refund. Oh God, here we go again, you know. So yeah, I feel like there's an identity problem, a trade identity problem. My family and some people have just been after me just because somebody died. And I didn't know that people do this stuff. Well, I knew, but I didn't know that my people would be after money like that, you know, when somebody dies. So basically, I think the best defense is to show that, you know, I'm rehabilitated and I'm here to pay the fine. I'm here to continue on. I'm here to protect the consumer. I'm not here to hurt the consumer. Um, you know, if the consumer says something's wrong, okay, we can put my pay on hold and let's find out what's wrong and let's find out what we have to do. My father taught me basically you can take care of a complaint no matter what because you could always use it as a tax write-off. So even if you feel something wasn't fair, just fix it or do it anyway. That's the kind of reputation he had with the pest control board, and that's the kind of reputation that I would like to have. You know, so I was upset in my younger days with the board because I'm like, wait a minute, I did what you guys asked me to do, and John Ellinger, the specialist that you guys sent out, he wouldn't come back out to meet me at the property to confirm this is it. Um, and he said he didn't have to. And I'm like, wow, okay. You know, Greg Adams, another specialist with the board, he would do that. He would meet me back out there and confirm, yeah, okay, that's fine. You can do that that way. Or if not, you know, you could do it this way, or, you know, and that would be the end of it. The case would be closed, but it didn't go that way with Mr. Ellinger. And I believe that was just another way of finding out that something's wrong. The consumer Marcus Howes, 1717 89th Avenue in Oakland. He's thanked me after going out and reperforming the work after receiving notice from the board I need to go back out. But before he thanked me, he said that there were some things that I didn't do that the board specialist said needed to be done. And I'm telling him, no, that's not in the order of what I need to do or his findings. And I didn't even think it pertained to branch 3 termite work. But I said, okay, in the back of my head, the customer's always right. I need to take care of this. I don't agree, but whatever. It took me maybe an hour to do. It was some work around the edges of his roof and some tree branches. And I felt like, golly, you know, this has nothing to do with the complaint, but this is the customer complaining and my license and livelihoods on the line. So just do it. But if I was the age that I am now and this was happening, I would have said, no, stop right here. I'm going to call the pest control board right now and ask them, hey, what's going on with this? This looks like it's extra. Will I get credit for this? Or do I need to, you know, send a supplemental report in? Or whatever, you know, and I don't think I did that either. And that's another thing I should have did. I should have submitted a supplemental report for that extra work. And I believe now looking back that that may have started this other business that I believe is going on that I don't know about because I keep seeing evidence of another business. And that's why I don't want to, you know, object to the board anymore because they've done more for me than my own family has done by just showing me through their paperwork that something, you know, there's some other things going on. I've also, after working for Pestaway, the housing crisis of 2006, 2008 kind of affected some pest control businesses. So the guy I was working for in Vegas, was slowly going out of business. The route that I was doing and managing for him was slowly going away. So I returned back to California and I became a truck driver. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I've been doing that since 2009. And I was told recently I failed a drug test, but not recently, but a few years ago. And I didn't agree with it because I waited, you know, so many days before experiencing marijuana. And I went through the program and it was pretty interesting. And I'm basically finished with it, but the way it works now is they test you uh, randomly and they don't tell you how many times they're going to test you. So I'm just waiting to be done with the testing. So they'll, they give me random tests all the time and I don't know when they're coming and I'm passing them. But they're not telling me how many they're going to give me before they say I'm done with the program. But I've been passing, I've probably taken, I don't know, maybe 10 tests over the last year. And that was very educational. And I think that's a form of rehabilitation. I never thought I could stop smoking marijuana. um, I don't smoke cigarettes either. I used to smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes either. Uh, and I think, marijuana has an effect on, how you handle things like this, business, personal life, business life. I think it has a, effect on that. Basically, other than that, I did submit some evidence. I had filed bankruptcy trying to close whatever business I felt was going on. I didn't get a discharge. I was supposed to get a discharge. I was told I would get one, but they sent me evidence of, another business going on, and they shorted some of the case number and modified it. And again, I feel this is the government's way of trying to teach me a lesson and tell me that you think you have, your ducks lined in a row and you think you have everything taken care of, but there's something that you need to take care of over there. So that's basically what I've been trying to demonstrate, to the government, to the pest control board that, I'm competent. I'm trying to stay on top of these things. And, I've seen a couple of different case numbers in the information that I would get from the board in reference to the hearings. And, I'm just so paranoid, because I don't want to go through this again. I question any and everything. I saw a case number in one of the emails, case 184040027.
Say that number again.
Oh, yeah. Case number 184040027. I don't know what that's about. So that's why I resent the papers that I had already submitted to the board, because I'm like, okay, this is something I need to be on and figure out, well, what is that, and do I get credit for that, or did I get credit for that, or is that something that is pending? Is that a pending case that's against me? Maybe someone else behind me is doing something again that I don't know about. So basically, I've just been trying to cover everything and not leave any stone unturned that would interfere with me reinstating my license. I've also did some construction work, and I think that probably is not probably, I think it is credit towards branch 3 termite work. I worked on Southern California Edison construction project. Obviously that's the government. So I did submit a picture of that. It's a job site. The board will see in the pictures there. The print is a little bit not readable at the top, but it's just basically saying Southern California Edison. It's a project I worked on, rebuilding or not rebuilding, building a Edison plant in Lake Isabella, California, and that's in Kern County. And they had me also doing work on the other side, on the other property, because obviously if you're building, sometimes you have to do work on the other property next to it because you're dealing with the foundation and the excavating, and then you have to do the backfill. So we were doing all that. So I submitted some pictures to show that I was working on a government project. I felt like, hey, I think that's rehabilitation, as far as working back in the trade field, because termites do eat wood and you have to know something about construction. So I did that. And also, I'm still truck driving right now, and I also am a manager for it's a company. It's called Prosper Wireless. It's a California um, subsidized phone program where you help less fortunate people obtain free phone service until they can get on their feet. It's funded by uh, the federal government, Congress. And basically, I help less than fortunate people, people homeless, people who, single mothers who, are on government assistance, disabled people who are on Social Security. I help them all basically qualify for phones, for the subsidized phone service. I also manage the agents who do the enrollments. I do them myself. And I do this on the side, even after truck driving. I've been doing this just to show that I'm a community person and I'm community oriented and I like to help people. So that's what I've been doing basically since this happened. And I'm just looking forward for another opportunity to do pest control in my home state of California. I enjoyed it in Vegas, but it's nothing like California. It's a little expensive here. So that's another reason why I need my license because it's pretty expensive here. But this is home, and it makes me think about my father. So just asking for another chance. That's it, basically.
All right, thank you, sir. We're going to just take a brief break for our court reporter. So we'll be off the record presently.
Okay.
Go back at 10:45.
Okay, thanks. Can I just leave my stuff here or just?
Yes, you can.
Okay, okay.
Folks in the room are. All right, just confirming that people in the room are back and ready. Mr. Bernard, are you ready to proceed? Ms. Lazarki, ready to proceed?
Yes.
And Mr. Kelsey, you ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right, looks like our board members are ready to proceed as well. All right, we are back on the record. The record should reflect that board member Finley had to disconnect. He was appearing virtually, so he is no longer with us. Nevertheless, the matter is still being heard by a quorum of the board. Mr. Kelsey, you had discussed some of the documents that you have submitted. I believe those documents are separate from the documents that have already been admitted. And so I just want to discuss those for a moment.
Yes.
I have essentially what's one packet of information that is approximately 50 pages.
Yes.
And I believe it was those documents to which you referred when, for example, you discussed the photo of the Southern California Edison job.
Yes.
As well as some of the bankruptcy paperwork.
Yeah.
And other matters.
Yes.
I understand from our discussion prior to the hearing, you also, separate from this set of documents,
Mhm.
have a smaller set of documents related to the license discipline of a different board licensee. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
All right. So we'll take them in due course. The first is this first set of approximately 50 pages. Are you wanting the board to consider these documents when it decides your case?
Yes.
Ms. Lazark, I believe from our discussion off the record that you have provided these documents in full to the board. Is that right?
I provided 4 copies, yes.
Okay. So the board members should have those. Do you object to the board considering these documents?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So these documents collectively will be marked as Exhibit A and are admitted. Separately, Mr. Kelsey, as I said a moment ago, there are some documents related to the board discipline or the license discipline of a different licensee.
Yes.
Is it your preference to offer those into evidence?
Yes.
All right. So I'll have you, I know you showed them to Ms. Lazark before, but I'll have you show them to her once more.
Okay. Right now.
Yes, please.
Yes. Here you go.
And I just want to make sure she has a chance to review them before deciding whether to object.
Okay.
I've
Do-
reviewed this.
Okay. Do you object to these
No,
documents?
Your Honor.
All right. So this will be marked as Exhibit B,
Thank
and I'll take it from you.
Yes.
I'll ensure that it becomes part of the record, and I'll ensure that the board members have access to it and
Okay.
can review it
Okay.
when deciding this case.
Thanks.
So Exhibit B is also admitted. At this time, I'll give Ms. Lazark, followed by the board members, a chance to ask you any questions they might have.
Okay.
As I said at the outset, please wait for the full question to be asked before you answer, and please consider what you've been asked
Okay.
so you can answer and address just what you've been asked,
Okay.
and that will make for the most orderly presentation of your testimony.
Okay.
Ms. Lazark, if you have any questions, you can begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Kelsey, the primary function of this proceeding today is really to assess your rehabilitation
Mhm.
since the revocation of your license in 2006,
Mhm.
and also more specifically since 2012, when your previous petition was denied.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of background questions,
Okay.
and hopefully you can bring to the surface some of the rehabilitation since 2006 and 2012.
Sure.
Are you currently married?
No.
Have you been married since 2006?
No.
Do you have any kids?
Yes.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
How old are your kids?
My son is 26 and my daughter is 24.
Do either one of your children live with you?
No, not at this time. No.
And do you provide any financial support to your children?
Yes, very minimal.
Now, you currently live in Bakersfield, California?
Kern County, same county, Kernville.
And let's go back through your employment history, starting with your present employment and going back to 2012. Are you currently employed?
Yes.
And where do you work?
It's the company name is West Coast Freight Line LLC in Yuba City, California.
And how long have you worked for this company?
I'd say about almost 6 months now. Maybe I think April or May. I started around that time this year.
And is this the company that you worked for when you had a positive drug test?
No. I was working for the name, I'm sorry. It's Mike Lowry Trucking, and they're in Dixon, California, but I was employed out of the Bakersfield, California terminal.
Okay, so going back to your employment prior to April of this year,
Mhm.
where were you employed?
Prior to this one now, I was employed with, it's a company in Chicago area, Illinois, excuse me. It's called 88FR8, like the number 8, 88FR8 Inc. And same thing, commercial driver, truck driving, basically.
And how long were you employed with 88FR8 Inc.?
I was with them, I'd say about probably 3 or 4 months.
And what caused you to no longer be employed with?
They were operating or showing evidence of another business arrangement, um, other than the arrangement that we were supposed to have.
Did you leave willingly or were you terminated?
Willingly. Yes, willingly.
And you stated that you worked for 88 FR8 Inc. for approximately 3 to 4 months.
Yes.
Was that this year or last year?
It was both like the end of last year, like late November, kind of December into this year.
So prior to November or December of 2023, where were you employed?
Let's see, I was doing the government subsidized phones, and I believe 88 FR8 Inc. was the first company that I had started back with after being separated because of that positive drug test. So I was still doing the government subsidized phone enrollments, kind of like full time, basically.
And when was your employment for this government subsidized job?
I'm sorry, what was it?
When were you employed at this?
Oh,
government subsidized
so
job?
basically I had been doing it since about 2021 up until now, but there was like a little bit of a lapse maybe this year. And I wasn't doing it for about 6 months because I didn't have like um I didn't have like someone to like supply me with the phones, so I wasn't doing it.
When did you have that positive drug test?
Um about April 27th, I believe 2021. I submitted it in the evidence that I submitted. Yeah, it was about April 27th, 2021. And yeah, I did submit it. Yeah, here it is. So let's see, I can give you the exact, yeah, April 27th, 2021. That's when they said it was positive, or it's finalized that it's positive.
And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you stated that you tested positive because of your marijuana consumption.
Yes, according to them, yes.
Do you still consume marijuana?
No.
And when's the last time that you consumed marijuana?
Um, it has been probably about a year and 4 months, because I was trying to uh go into the program, and I mean, you have to like, I felt like I need to make an effort, before I went into the program, because obviously, that's the whole point of the program, is to not do it. So yeah, it's been about a year and about 3 months when I started the program, and a year and 4 months when I had stopped.
So prior to stopping using marijuana a year and 4 months ago, prior to that, would you consider yourself to have been a regular marijuana user?
Uh, yeah, yeah,
So how often would you use marijuana?
every day.
And the reason I'm asking you, Mr. Kelsey, is because you stated during your direct that marijuana has an effect on your ability to perform pest control work. And so I want you to briefly explain what assurances can you give to the board that you're not going to again consume marijuana, which could potentially affect your work?
Well, I would say I could say that basically I'm more clear. I have a clearer mind, and I like studying what makes pest control, and I like the fact that pest control is tied to the environment, um, tied to nature, it's tied to air, water, the soil, the land. and you have to be competent. You have to, I was studying the new federal laws, the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, Rodenticide Act. I noticed that there was, some mass changes. Uh, and basically that's what I like to do. That's my high right there. Just knowing about nature and how things go. Um, I didn't fall in love with pest control until I went to Vegas and did it there because I only did restricted pest control here. But when I was in Las Vegas, I was able to really see the other side of what a pesticide chemical can do and how it can harm the environment. Um, in a different branch practice because you're openly broadcasting versus here I was putting it in the ground or putting it on some wood or calling a fumigation company to subcontract and I wasn't performing it. So now I'm more into the research of it and I'm more like an environmentalist. And also marijuana is a plant and it comes from the environment, and I believe that it's poison because we have some problems with the environment and mismanagement. So I'm not interested anymore. I'm not interested in anything that's going to keep me from practicing being, an administrator, quote unquote, in this field because I love what I do, or what I was doing because it ties me to my father. That's the only time I got to spend with my father was doing this.
Let me ask you this. Did you receive any assistance in quitting marijuana?
Did I receive?
Did you receive any assistance like therapy or did you go through AA or anything of that
Oh,
nature?
yeah. So, that's what I had submitted also. It was the company is AACS Counseling, and basically, um, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, U.S. Department of Transportation, basically is making me go through that program. That's the only way I can drive a truck right now, commercial vehicle. Uh, I'm in the program still, but you're in different, they have you in different phases. So basically I went through the whole education of marijuana and the rehabilitation phase. So basically they've approved me to drive a truck again because basically when I tested positive, I was banned from operating a safety sensitive 80,000-pound vehicle basically. So now that I went through the program, tested positive, and tested negative, and no longer positive. Basically, the Federal Motor Carrier Board, U.S. Department of Transportation, allowed me to operate a commercial vehicle, but I'm still under like their restriction as far as watching, and I get regular monitored random drug test until the employer and the drug testing agency decide that, they don't want to test me anymore and they don't tell you when that's going to be. It's a part of their rules. You don't know. You have to keep just being ready for them to send you to take a random drug test, basically.
I want to switch gears a little bit because I know you talked about your father. Now your father is his name Lance Kelsey Sr.?
No. Well, I'm senior and then I have a junior.
Okay.
My father's name is Brian.
And when did your father pass away?
Wow. The day before the 9/11 attacks in New York, September 10th, 2001.
Your Nevada license
Mhm.
was issued in 2006, is that right?
Yes, it is correct.
And it was terminated in 2008?
Somewhere around that time, because because I wasn't working using it. So yeah, they just took it back and said, well, you're not using it right now. So it was no, complaints or discipline or anything like that. I guess because I wasn't using it to work for a company at the time, or I wasn't working in pest control at that immediate time. I went in there to just ask a question, and they just kept it and said, well, we're just gonna keep it. You're not using it. And that's what they told me.
So then it's fair to say that you haven't worked in the capacity of doing any pest control work since 2008?
Correct. Just only, just as far as old pest control work, just trying to, close out, unclosed, accounts that, were due like money, but no trade, practicing or anything like that.
Mr. Kelsey, I want to briefly address one of the things that was decided in the first accusation that was filed against you,
Mhm.
2004-22.
Mhm.
Because one of the reasons we're here is to really assess your character for honesty and truthfulness.
Mhm.
And there's a finding in that accusation that you filed a mechanics lien on a property in Oakland, California. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the finding was that you filed the mechanics lien and made misrepresentations and false statements in that lien. Is that correct?
Yes.
And as you are testifying here today, do you agree that at the time that you filed that lien, you made false misrepresentations and statements in that mechanics lien?
Yes.
Now, in your most recent accusation, which is 2005-24,
Mhm.
pertaining to two properties, the same thing happened with the McClung property.
Mhm.
And that property, again, it was determined that you have filed a fraudulent mechanics lien. And is it your testimony today that you did in fact file a false mechanics lien?
Yes. Yes.
And there was a criminal complaint that was filed against you, and it had 4 allegations where you had filed mechanics liens that were fraudulent. Now, you ultimately pled to burglary, but you did mention in your direct that you did in fact file some mechanics lien around the 2012 to 2014 years. So is it your testimony today that you did in fact file some fraudulent or false mechanics lien in 2013? And I can tell you the years.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're clear on the right one.
Okay, so the complaint was that you had filed, the criminal complaint was that you had filed a fraudulent lien on or about October 2nd, 2013.
Okay, yes, 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 yes,
And also on February 28th, 2014.
yes,
Okay, and also
Yeah.
on June 25th, 2014.
yes,
And lastly, on October 18th, 2018.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now, clearly filing false liens speaks directly to your integrity
Right.
and honesty.
Yeah.
And so now the last false or last mechanics lien that you filed that contained misrepresentations or false statements was in 2018.
Mhm.
And we're now in 2024, right?
Yes.
6 years later. So what rehabilitation have you done in terms of, your rehabilitating your character? And what assurances can you provide to the board that you are not going to, again, in the future, file these type of liens?
Well, basically, I would basically go deeper into not considering filing the mechanics lien. I would go deeper as far as trying to figure out, should I even consider that? I need to check behind me and make sure that, a family member, because it's a family business that I come from, is not or has not been doing or communicating with the customer, operating some type of different arrangement without me knowing, because basically I had to learn from the county and the state and the federal government that when I would take these actions, I thought I was in the right, but I was really in the wrong, because for the most part, my family members who are a part of my deceased father's estate basically feel like, well, we can do other stuff because you're not paying us or we're entitled to this. So we're going to do whatever we do. And when you try to do your normal business as you would do as if your father was still here, yeah, you're probably going to get cuffed up for it, or it's going to look like you're doing wrong. Of course, the mechanics lien was wrong. I know that now, but at the time I thought it was proper uh, in most cases. But I feel like the government was trying to tell me by handcuffing me that there's other things going on and you shouldn't even be doing a mechanics lien because you don't even know what's going on with your business. So like I was jumping the gun when I thought, no, it's time to do it. Or, I went to the property and saw what was wrong, or I went to the property and, I tried to collect on, what I thought I should be, compensated for, but I don't even have my ducks lined in a row yet. So I need to be looking back, and I need to be communicating with some family members, or I need to be communicating with the real estate agent who hired me and make sure there's nothing else going on, or is there something I'm not getting here, before I even consider that filing a lien, or I need to be asking the customer, about possibly, is there something that I could do to avoid considering taking an action like that? There's just, when you look back at it and it's been so long, it's like there's 1,000 things that I could have done different, so now I feel like I'm more mature and I can say, well, let me go take the extra initiative and talk to that customer and tell them where my mind is and ask them, do they think that I should even consider doing something like that based on how things are going right now? Maybe we should try arbitration. That's something probably should put in my contracts in the future. And then there wouldn't be a consideration of filing a lien. Well, now per the contract, for example, we're going to go to arbitration because that's what I agreed to. That's what you, the customer, agreed to. So there's no need to file a mechanics lien. So now, I think that would cure the problem basically.
So why is it wrong to file a fraudulent mechanics lien?
Well, obviously it's wrong because whatever you're saying is due is not really due, or it's fraudulently due if you're saying it's due and you didn't do whatever you said that you did in the lien.
But do you understand how a mechanics lien hurts a homeowner?
Yeah, it damages it puts a cloud over the title of the property. Yeah, so I get it. I understand. Even if you release it like I did, because there was a complaint, it's still there. It's forever. It's on public record forever. So I understand.
Now, your license, your operator's license was revoked in part because of violations of various code sections and regulations pertaining to pest control work.
Yes.
What courses or what have you done to keep yourself apprised of, the current laws and regulations of the board, to ensure that if you were to have your license reinstated, that you wouldn't commit some of the same violations that you've previously committed?
Well, I've been reading, I've been studying the pest control industry, and I've been fascinated by it because I feel like I'm different from the average pest control operator or applicator right now because I've had so many years to not have practiced the trade to where I can study behind the scenes and learn all these new things that are going on. It's so much going on with pest control chemicals now. It's amazing. So I've been able to really focus on the research, science. There's the new FIFRA regulation. There's the new US EPA regulations, and one of them is the applicator, which is an operator or field rep in state language. Federal language is applicator. The applicator has to be competent. So I've made it, a top priority to make sure whatever I do is competent, so if any lien or any uh matter or pest control application or termite inspection or any behavior that I would do in pest control, uh it has to be competent. It has to meet federal um guidelines, and the pest control chemicals that were safe when I was doing pest control back in 2003, 4, and 5 are not as safe as they are now, according to the industry. So that's in the back of my mind. So there's no room for negligence or someone doing something behind my back that's affiliated with me without me knowing. You have to have an integrated pest management system where we're all on the same page. We're keeping the environment safe. We're protecting the ecosystem. We're mindful of the water table below us. We're mindful of the pesticide drifting when you release it from the can or the aerosol sprayer. We have to, make sure that we're using a thorough subcontractor. If you're subcontracting, you have to know his background. You should have references. As I explained earlier, I learned my lesson. You really have to take this more serious, and I feel like I can take it more serious than a lot of people now because I was separated from it so long. It's like I'm hungry to know, well, what does it take to do this? I know of this. I did it for 10 years or so before I was stopped by the board. So I know something about this, but what is it that I don't know? I'm looking for, new information. And I find it fascinating to compare some of this new research that's been going on with what I knew back then, so um, yeah, I feel like if you're not doing something that you love, you shouldn't be doing it, because it's not just money, it's something I love to do. I mean, because I make good money now driving the truck, but my heart is not in that. My father didn't come from that. My father comes from this. The time I spend with my father comes from this. So this is me.
I don't have anything further.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lazark. We'll then turn it over to board members for questions, starting with President Anderson.
Thank you so much for being here today. I think after Ms. Lazark's line of questioning and your extensive testimony, and thank you for your transparency, I don't have any questions. I just did want to express my condolences, and I'm sorry for your loss, and I wish you well on your journey.
All right, thank you. We'll then turn to Mr. Mendenhall for questions.
No questions.
Mr. Paxson
I don't have any questions either. Thank you, sir.
and Mr. Tengen.
I don't really have a question, but I do have a statement. Being licensed in the state of Nevada is no easy task.
Yeah.
And holding a C2 is an operator's equivalent to a field rep here, and it's very difficult. So, congratulations to passing that and acknowledging your craft.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Do you have any other witnesses that you'd like to call?
No.
Do you have any other documents that we haven't already addressed?
No, that's basically it.
All right. That concludes the evidence portion of the hearing then. I'll now give the parties a chance to make any brief closing remarks they would like to make. Ms. Lazar, would you like to make any closing remarks? I talked over you, sorry.
I talked over you. I'm sorry. No closing.
Got it. Mr. Kelsey, would you like to make any closing remarks?
Sure, yes. Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate the opportunity once again to practice pest control or be considered practicing pest control in the state of California. I'm very mature now. It's very exciting to know that I'm this close possibly to being able to practice again here. in California. I wouldn't want to do it in any other place. It's so much history here. I was born here, raised here. I did my first termite job here. So it's a lot of history in here, and I've really enjoyed feeling like I'm reconnected with the industry just by taking courses, updating and comparing what they're studying now and what the findings are with these pest control chemicals and the health of people and the environment, and comparing it with what I was taught back then. It's very fascinating, and I felt like I've had enough, time to really look at, what I thought I knew and what I know now. And I really feel like I got training over the years as far as administration, because I come from a small business. So small business is different. The operator a lot of times is the termite inspector. So, it's hard to see different things that you need to see in the business all the time. I found it very interesting to learn, that there's other sides to the industry. There's the science practice to it. There's science involved. The environment is involved, the water system, the water table ecosystem, the air quality. And I probably knew a little bit of that back then, but I really don't know it like the way I do now, and especially after practicing general pest control in Nevada. I was able to see the behavior of chemicals that I used in California. I was able to see the behavior of the chemical in a different pest control branch. So, I was able to see on a windy day, you shouldn't be spraying that spray because my boss didn't tell me, and I saw it, the drift, just the wind just picked the chemical up and just send it down the block. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope the lady or whoever doesn't come out their door, they're going to get hit with that chemical. And from that point on, it really, it was laced in my mind how serious this practice is. So I don't want to engage in anything, that would jeopardize my license ever again. Um, and I don't ever want to engage in anything that would, make me or use something like marijuana and then try to engage in something that would make me make the wrong decisions, because I felt like the marijuana uh, is a tricky drug. It makes you feel like everything's fine, and you think you're making good decisions, but later on, maybe you'll see that you weren't, and there's no need to even use that if you're driving a commercial vehicle or if you're practicing pest control, because pest control is very dangerous, and the chemicals are more toxic based on recent research. So I feel like I'm ready basically to practice pest control again. I just pray that the board considers reinstating my license, and considers that I'm willing to continue with restitution. I just ask that they, navigate me with as far as restitution. What direction do I need to go, or what consumer needs it if there's some activity going on that I don't know about. I'm a team player. I would love to know, and I would love to make sure the customer is okay, and everything's fine, and whatever work needs to be reperformed, I'm willing to pay for it to have it reperformed, or if my license is reinstated, if I can perform it, I'll perform it, or see that it gets performed. And basically looking forward to just doing pest control again in California. That's about it.
All right, thank you. I have just a couple clarifications for the record. I've confirmed that the street address that was mentioned should be McClung. It's McClung. That's on page A104 for reference.
Mhm.
The two case numbers that were mentioned, I don't know if they were said incorrectly, but they are 2004-22, that's from page A190, and 2005-24, that's from page A96. I just wanted to make sure the record clearly captured those. In a moment, I'm going to ask whether the matter is submitted. By that, I mean, are you satisfied you've had a full opportunity to present all evidence and make all argument on your behalf? Ms. Lazard, for the people, is the matter submitted?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Kelsey, for you, is the matter submitted?
Yes,
All right, then the matter is submitted, the case is closed, and we are off the record.
thank you.
All right.
And does this stay with you guys, the board, or does this?
You can have it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's yours to keep.
All right, cool. Thank
I
you.
have the official copy, and we'll use Case Center for the board's exhibits. For the board members, I believe, and Ms. Knight, perhaps you can correct me, but I believe Mr. Carrillo is not here. Is that right? Okay. So I believe the board is opting to have his hearing in his absence. Is that right, Ms. Knight?
I think they should hear both options first.
Okay. All right. So we can just take a 5-minute leg stretching break. Mr. Kelsey, can I have you meet me at Mr. Barnard's table, the court reporter? I
Yeah.
just want to go over some spelling.
Sure.
And then we'll reconvene in just a few minutes here. All right. Thank you. All right. It looks like the meeting is back in session. Thank you for that. While we were not in session, the board members discussed the options for moving forward in light of Mr. Carrillo's non-appearance and decided that it's best to treat the petition as withdrawn without prejudice. So at this point, we'll go on the record and create a record of that. Are you ready, Mr. Barnard? All right. We are on the record in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Jose G. Carrillo. This matter is being heard before the Structural Pest Control Board. Case number 2008-67 and 2008-12. My name is Sean Gavin. I'm the administrative law judge from the Office of Administrative Hearings, who has been assigned to preside over this case. The OAH case number is 2024-090744. I'll take appearances of the parties who are present.
Deputy Attorney General Adriana Lazark, appearing on behalf of the people pursuant to Government Code Section 11522. Thank you.
Thank you. I will also just briefly confirm we have a quorum of the board, starting with President Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Mendenhall,
Yes.
Mr. Paxson,
Yes.
and Mr. Tengen.
Yes.
These members constitute a quorum.
I think we have our other member.
Oh, we have, pardon me, I didn't realize.
Sorry.
Dr. Ankur Bindal, are you present? I don't know if you're responding. If you are, we cannot hear you.
This is a moderator. Dr. Bindle is logged into the meeting. Unfortunately, I'm not able. Oh, there we go. All right, this is the moderator. He's turned on his camera. And Dr. Bindle, can you hear us?
Hear you. Now I can. I was not able to hear you guys earlier, but very well. Yeah, perfect.
Great.
Hello.
Okay, hi, just confirming your presence, sir.
Yes.
You are here. Very good. These members still constitute a quorum. As I said before we went on the record, it is now 11:30 a.m. This matter was scheduled to begin at 9 a.m. and the petitioner, Mr. Carrillo, is not present. Based on that, the board has elected to proceed with deeming the matter withdrawn without prejudice. Mr. Carrillo can repetition for the same or similar relief at the next available board meeting, but the matter will not be heard on its merits today. Instead, the petition is withdrawn. With that, the record is closed. I don't have anything else to do or say.
Okay,
You can take us
thank
to
you.
closed session.
Pursuant to Government Code Section 11126, Subdivision C3, the board will meet in closed session for discussion and to take action on disciplinary matters, including the petitions. After the conclusion of closed session, the meeting will return to open session. So at this point in time, do we want to set a return for 11:45 or so? Is that?
Just the petition.
Okay.
I'll send it has a biological break needed.
Okay. All right. So 11:40 or so.
I think there's gonna be a break while everybody clears the room.
Okay.
So I think you're gonna have enough time for biological break.
Yeah. Okay. And then we will return. Thank you.
Everybody's gonna pack up and stuff. So, no. Arthur, we can do it. Bring me the rest of these. I don't want to warm this out.
Right. This is
5 minutes. We're
easy peasy right now. We'll be out here in 5 minutes. No
Right.
kidding.
5 minutes.
Set your timer.
Right. Have chocolate if anybody needs chocolate.
Oh. It's like mint.
On hold.
I don't know.
You are so strong.
I have roasted chickpeas.
I have to take it out of my mouth. No, no, this is gonna go bad. I'm not.
Roasted chickpeas, are you ready?
My partner. Let's go out.
Really good. Yeah, fruit bars too.
Bring me down. I'm good. Is it you're like training us on that now?
Cindy, you can move over.
Oh, one if you'd like, and then Sabina can sit next to her.
I am.
Or there's mine. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fine. There's mine.
Was it?
Fruit bar?
Sure.
I'm like fruit, it's good for you.
I have some berries, so I can't go for that.
I got chickpeas also.
That's it. No more.
That's it. That's it. That's all you get.
That's it. That's it.
That's all you get. If you don't want yours this, you even know, then it's just that photo. Okay.
Online?
Right. It's the thing, like, if we realize. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're returning to open session and moving on to agenda item number 6, which is approval of meeting minutes. So the discussion and possible approval of the August 26, 2024 meeting minutes. At this point in time, I'll ask the board for a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Does the public have any comments on this motion?
Tell the moderator there's no one in the room. Moderator, there's no public comment in the room.
Thank you so much. I'll open up the Q&A panel. If any member of the public would like to make a comment, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. And these are comments regarding agenda item number 6. We'll give you a moment. All right, this is the moderator. I see no request for comment at this time. Madam Board President, I return the meeting back to you.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded to approve the August 26, 2024 board meeting minutes. Sophia, at this point in time, could you take a roll call vote?
President Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Bindal,
Yes.
Board Member Mendenhall,
Yes.
Board Member Paxson,
Yes.
and Board Member Tingen. Motion passes.
Thank you. We will move on to the next agenda item, number 7. Beth Boss with the California Department of Pesticide Regulation is online to provide their update. Beth, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Board President, and the Structural Pest Control Board for allowing us to be here today. My name is Beth Voss. I am a senior environmental scientist with DPR's Enforcement Headquarters Branch, and I'm here to provide DPR's update to the board. Last month, staff from DPR's enforcement branches and the Structural Pest Control Board conducted our in-person structural regulatory training from September 10th to 12th in Irvine in Orange County. 75 county agricultural commissioner staff from 22 counties throughout California attended the training. We would again like to thank our industry volunteers, Matt Fabre and Doug Bell from Cardinal Products, as well as Quality Pest Services and Newport Exterminating for volunteering to be our on-site training partners again this year. CAC attendees were very appreciative and complimentary about all of the industry presenters and demo stations, and the training was very successful. That concludes my update for the board today, and thank you very much for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, Beth, and congratulations on your outcomes. At this point in time, we'll move on to agenda item number 8, and I will turn it over to our executive officer, Sophia, to present on this item.
This is the regulations update. So in your board meeting materials, there's a memorandum that summarizes the 3 packages that we currently are working on. The first is our fee increase that you all voted on in August. And you approved the regulatory proposals to increase examination, initial license, renewal, and WDO inspection fees. The increase is necessary to address the board's structural imbalance and impending insolvency. I'm still working on the initial regulation package for legal review or DCA review and approval. I hope to have that over to our legal affairs department by the end of this week. And then it takes about couple of months, I think, for them to conduct their review before I'm hoping we can publish with OAL around December of this year. The next package is the pesticide application notice requirements. This package is in the final stages of approval with Office of Administrative Law. I've been working with the attorney there at OAL this week on some last minute tweaks that they needed, but everything looks good and we expect approval on this by next week. That will be a package I believe will be effective January 1. And last is our examinations package that you also voted on at the last meeting. As soon as I'm done with the initial documents for fee increase, I'll start working on the initial documents for the examinations package. This package is, this proposal ensures that the board conforms with the federal EPA standards and that we're putting exam processes in our regulations. And that concludes my regulatory update.
Thank you, Sophia. Can I ask, I know in our last board meeting, we had talked about as it relates to the fee increase, just in the spirit of wanting to have a dialogue and transparency, are we still exploring the idea of a possible town hall?
Yes, we are. I'm trying to hold a town hall sometime in November before the package goes to OAL for public comment. I'm trying to put together as much data and information as I can so that everybody is aware we can come to this town hall with all the information. And I'll take recommendations, people's input at that time, and I can, at the next meeting, present that information to you.
And how will that be communicated for those that are interested in attending?
Oh, it's going to be put out on social media. We can send it out on our email blasts. It will be on our website, on our meetings page. So we'll get the word out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
And I also plan to, I also plan to provide updates at upcoming PCOC meetings. And one other outreach event that's happening in January. It'll probably be public comment at that time, but
Great. Thank you for that update. Any other questions? Okay. At this point in time, Sophia will walk us through what I believe will be agenda items number 9, which is legislation, agenda items number 10, which is the executive officer's report, and then agenda item number 11, which is the 2025 board meeting dates.
okay. So for legislation, SB 1451 that I provided information to you and in my monthly EO reports as well as the last meeting, that was signed September 9th, approved by the governor, and will be effective January 1. This is eliminating the continuing education examination in lieu of taking the continuing education hours. Next steps, I have on the memo here, future steps. We're going to clean up our regulations next, go through that, make sure that they align with the law. Once we conduct our, regulatory proposals, we're also going to implement a communication plan and get the word out by social media, our newsletter, our website, and our mailing list. That concludes that item. We can open it up for public comment. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So we can do public comment for both items 8 and 9.
Wonderful. This is the moderator, and I will open up the question and answer panel. If any member of the public would like to comment on either of those 2 agenda items, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We are displaying instructions, and we'll give you a moment. All right, this is a moderator. I see no requests for comment at this time. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Okay, and I'll pass it right back over to Sophia for her executive officer's report.
So for my EO report, the first item is the budget update. There are budget reports in the materials, and online, I believe, is Ryan Harrington with our budget office, and he's going to provide the budget update.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Harrington, and I'm a budget analyst with DCA Budget Office. I'm here alongside Suzanne Balkus, the budget manager. I want to thank the board members and the executive officer for allowing me to present on agenda item 10, the board's fund condition statement. We will start on page 29 of your materials, which is the board's fund condition statement. As a reminder, we read this document top to bottom and left to right. The left column is the board's prior 2023-2024 actuals. It shows that the board began in 2023-24 with a balance of about $3 million. And the board collected $5.5 million in revenues, with $679,000 from initial license fees, $250,000 from license renewals, and $4.6 million collected from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenues. The board expended $6.2 million, which includes $567,000 in direct draws to the fund for statewide pro rata and pension payments. The board closed 2023-24 with a reserve balance of $2.6 million, or 4.2 months in reserve. For current year, the board projects revenues of about $5.8 million, with $666,000 projected from initial license fees and a little over $243,000 from renewal fees, and about $5 million from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The board's 2024-2025 expenditures are currently based on the governor's budget at $7.4 million, between authorized expenditures and direct draws to the fund, leaving the board with a fund balance of just over 1 million or 1.6 months in reserve. The budget office will continue to monitor the board's revenue and expenditures and report back to the board with monthly expenditure projections as we continue to close fiscal months in the current fiscal year. Few things to note for the board's fund condition. The fund condition is a snapshot in time. One of the main factors driving expenditure increases in future years is a result of personnel service adjustments. These include general salary increases as well as employee compensation and retirement rate adjustments. The budget office includes a conservative ongoing 3% increase to expenditures on the fund condition statement to account for these incremental adjustments. You'll also notice revenue is projected static in the out years. Current year is based on the governor's budget and will be updated with FM5 projections at the next meeting. Lastly, I would like to note to the board that any future legislation or unanticipated events could result in the board's need for additional resources, which would create cost pressure on the fund. The budget office will continue to monitor the board's fund condition statement and keep an open line of communication with the executive officer for any future needs or expectations. That concludes my presentation. Again, thank you for allowing me to present at today's meeting, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is board member Mendenhall. Quick question on the expenditures 1111. What's the reason for like the huge jump of like 1.2 million and then it kind of evens out following years?
So line 111, it is what the actual expenditure. So for 23-24, this is what the board actually spent.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see that it jumped to about 6.9, and that is because that's what the budget is for this year, for current year 24-25. And then after that, we have a 3% increase in the budget year and budget year +1, just for, like Ryan mentioned, whether it is employees comp or any pensions that or adjustment is going to hit the fund. So we always have to do based on the governor's budget. So of course, the current year, once we start having more FM, whether it is coming 3 or 5, then you're going to see that change, and it's going to be based on projection.
So just to add to that, 23-24 are our actual expenses.
I understand that.
Yeah, and then the following year are projections and what we're budgeted. That's what we're budgeted in the governor's budget.
Talk about like insolvency. Last year, I mean, this year's like at $2 million more. We have to raise fees and costs.
Historically, we do spend a little under $1 million, but they're seeing that that's going down. And yes, you're seeing, an insolvency in 25-26. It probably is more realistically 26-27 with the history of our spending.
And also the revenue is based on projection as well, based on the governor's budget as well. So if we receive more revenue, that will change also the fund condition.
Which we are seeing a decrease in what's 80% of our revenue, which is the WDO filing. So we think that that projection is slightly high on that revenue.
Sort of what we spent an extra 1 point this year versus last year. Just small increases going forward.
So this year is just a projection. That's not our actual on spending. I believe you can see the following sheet will show our current year's expenditures and where we are. I know the fund condition can sometimes be confusing. Thank you, Suzanne.
Of course.
And thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Was there any other?
Do we have any other questions?
Here, we can open it up for, actually, no, let me finish the EO report and then we'll go to public comment. So just a quick licensing update. The licensing and examination statistics are included in the materials for the first quarter of this fiscal year, covering examination pass rates, licenses issued, renewed, and licenses that are currently in effect. The only significant variance is the number of people applying to take the examination has increased. Other than that, we don't see a lot of significant changes. For enforcement, the same thing, the statistics are in the material for the first quarter data of this fiscal year. And this covers complaint intake, investigations, attorney general cases, citations issued, financial penalties, consumer refunds and rework, and the WDO activity. And at this time, there are no significant variances to the report as the numbers remain pretty consistent with those from the same period last year. And that concludes my EO report. Are there any questions? Okay, we can open it up for public comment.
All right, this is the moderator. Thank you so much. I've opened up the Q&A panel. If any member of the public would like to comment on the executive officer's report, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment at this time. Madam Board President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. And Sophia, if you could just walk us through our agenda item number 11, our board meeting dates for 2025.
So these are potential dates that I've thrown out. It's my understanding the June date, there's some issues with the June date for one of our board members as well as our legal counsel. So either we can decide on a June date now, or I can throw, an email. I can send an email and get some dates from you guys.
Yeah, I think an email would work
Okay.
best. That way we can look at
Your
respective
calendars.
calendars and everything. Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
And the other two dates, I'll include in the email and you can let me know at that time. And once we decide, then we can post these online.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
We can open up for public. No public.
No.
Okay, no need.
At this point in time, we will move on to agenda item number 12, which is public comment on items that are not on the agenda. So if anybody in the public has any comments that we have not discussed here today, this is the time to raise anything and come forward with any comments that you would like to discuss.
All right, this is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A panel. If any member of the public would like to comment, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We'll give you a moment.
It looks like we do have a comment here in person. So we'll take that one first.
Yep.
Don't know where it's all to go.
You can come
You
sit.
can just sit here and then use the microphone, please.
It's really not much, but Sophia, I just want to really appreciate.
If you can use the microphone, sorry.
Mike.
All right. Gosh, this is going to be really simple for all this, but I just want to say thank you so much for going and putting licensing online.
Oh,
it's been brilliant from a user's perspective. We have over 240 some odd techs that we're responsible for licensing for. And it's just been a real nightmare to manage that. And I feel like a weight has been lifted off of my shoulders. So I just want to say thank you to the Structural Pest Control Board or whomever spearheaded that. Thank you. It's been brilliant.
Can you share your name and who you're from? Or
my name is Ashley Freeman and I'm with Advanced Integrated Pest Management. We have 11 branches plus a hub here in California, plus a Northern Nevada branch, and we're still growing. And I'm their technical director. I oversee regulatory compliance, safety, and pest control technology.
Well, thank you so much. It's this type of feedback that I think is not only helpful, but I think is encouraging of the work that we're trying to do. So it really helps a lot to be able to hear from those that are experiencing it on the front line, if you will.
Thank you. We just appreciate it. And every time I come into the office here, your people are just so kind and gracious and helpful. And I just can't thank the board enough for being that way. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, no, and more is coming. You know, we've only released one piece of it, the examinations piece, and are working really hard on releasing everything. So it's nice to hear that it's working.
Definitely. Moderator, do we have any other comments, public comments online as well?
Thank you. No, we do not. So we have no requests.
Thank you. At this point in time, we'll move on to agenda item number 13. If I will ask our board members if there are any items that they would like to see on a future agenda. All right, seeing no suggestions at this point in time, I'll move on to agenda item number 15 and we will, I will open it up for public comment, or moderator, could we open it up for public comment for any agenda items that the public would like to see us set for a future meeting?
All right, thank you so much. I've opened up the Q&A panel. If any member of the public would like to suggest future agenda items, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. I'll give you a moment. All right, I see no requests for comment. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. At this point in time, we'll go ahead and adjourn our meeting. The time is 12:19 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.